Good afternoon. Good Thursday afternoon. I hope this stream finds you well. We are here to go through some of the jail calls from Wade Wilson, who was recently, just the other day, given the death penalty for the crimes that he is talking about in these jail calls. And yes, I do have to acknowledge that I have a tendency, hello Sharon, hello Solo. I have a tendency to get to these things a little later than others. And I'll tell you why. Because I really do prefer to look at these things when there's more resolution to the case. And at this point, we have pretty good resolution in terms of the justice that's going to be served to this man. And he's getting the death penalty. And in all honesty, after learning what he did to his victims, I'm okay with it. You know, I'm not a big fan of the death penalty in general, but when it can be applied to people like him, I'm okay with it. So, welcome here. Please remember to hit the like button. In case anybody watching now or anybody watching later is not familiar with the basicness, just the basic facts of this crime, it helps to understand what this man did, so that when we listen to his jail calls and the way he talks about things, we know when he really is speaking on facts or just through his, imaginary ramblings. And the idea of this channel is really for us to, as we hear, hey Teacup, as we hear, what comes out of the mouth of a man like Wade Wilson, is to think about what are the views that need to be broken in the world, because he's not the only person in the world that has these views, these views that are informing his actions. And what I want to try to do is help pick apart some of these views and show how they continue to lead and justify and perpetuate criminal behavior. When you have criminal thinking and you don't change your criminal thinking, you're just going to continue acting like a criminal. And a lot of criminal behavior is very similar to and can be tied to, personality disorders, major severe personality disorders. And we see a lot of these criminals, as we analyze them and we see what actual experts say, they diagnose them with severe personality disorders, not just mental illness, but a lot of times mental illness will also come with a personality disorder. So, and it's very complicated, but just to give you all a sense of the things that this guy did, in his murder case, there were 2 murder victims. Now, I am aware that he has many other types of victims that are still living victims, but his murder victims are 2 women. One was 35 years old and one was 43 years old. Kristine Melton, 35, and Diane Ruiz is 43, and a mother. And both of them happened in October of 2019. Took quite some time for this all to come to court. And in both situations, he did not know these people prior. They were not friends. He picked up on them in different ways and got them alone. One of them, he just viciously attacked. One of them, he actually slept with, it sounds like, and then viciously attacked her. So just break it down to the injuries that one of the victims had. Kristine Melton, she had many bruises on her face. She had a swollen eye. She had bruises all over her torso and arms. She had contusions on her face, significant hemorrhaging internally in her neck, bruising on the scalp and subscalp. And they determined that her death was by asphyxiation from strangulation, but also blunt force trauma, basically all over her body. Contusions of lungs, liver, back of bladder, colon. Her brain was swollen, but otherwise normal. And so then we have the injuries to Diana, the 43-year-old woman. They shot, I think Diana is the one that he ran over. Okay. So there was evidence of animals scavenging. So apparently, after being left, but also could have been something he did. Fracturing of the nasal bone, laceration under left breast, hemorrhaging on both sides of the body, bruising on back, left forearm, and left hand, fracture of proximal left finger, bruising on right arm. And I believe it was Diane that he ran over, and not only did he run over her, he ran over her several times and said that he wanted her to look like spaghetti. And he bragged about this. And that's the kind of a mind, the kind of, the kind of thing that we're dealing with here. Now, he was born, he was adopted to, an adoptive family members when he was born to parents and a mother who was addicted to drugs. That can cause all kinds of brain abnormalities in and of itself. But apparently, from the time he was a baby, his adoptive parents said that from the time he was a baby until he was around 8, 9, 10 years old, he was a great, very happy, smart child. Okay. Then when he hit puberty, things just kind of took a turn. He started participating in drugs and aberrant behavior, and he began to be very disruptive in school. They tried to get him help. He didn't cooperate. He would only straighten up when police were involved and there was a threat to his freedom. So this is clearly a very, very sick person. Okay. A very sick person. And we're going to hear that in some of these calls. So what I would like to do is start out with the first call that we know of, which is his call to his with his father, his biological father, who apparently is, at least at that time, back in his life and in contact with him, and to start learning more about what's inside this guy's mind through these conversations, and pick through like what are the ideas that keep someone like Wade Wilson believing that he could stand trial for these crimes and be considered innocent. And that he could kind of sit there in court and glare around and look menacing and, and then want to be declared innocent or looked at like a nice guy. Now, I do know that one big thing going on with this, with Wade Wilson, is that he has generated a pretty substantial online fan base. And we see that happen with some guys that are really, really, really horrible people. But because they might look like they're halfway normal and maybe a little bit good looking at some point in their life, they get this fan base. And that is something that I want to try to understand too and pick through as well. But first we need to get through kind of some of the more foundational calls and information to try to understand all of this. Yeah, that's right. So his parents were just so young, so very young. So anyway, let's start listening and thinking about what we can hear here. Okay, as intelligent people. All right, here we go.
Hey, I just wanted to call you so you know that
this is with his bio dad.
Number. They were just this is the only time they give me the phone. I'm still in the.
Did they come talk to you last night?
They did, and apparently they had already got the body at like 1 o'clock. They just wanted to come talk to me so they, so they could fucking, so I would admit to it.
Yeah, when I walked out of visitation, my wife, she was in the truck, and she found that she had got an alert of a news story. They said they had found her at like 1:30, and they didn't announce it, I guess, until 6 o'clock or whatever. But they still haven't come out and identified her.
Oh, really? They haven't?
They said no. They said that they couldn't identify her. They needed the medical examiner to do it.
You're kidding me? Holy shit!
Nope.
Yeah.
Was it that bad, son?
It was that bad, Dad. I mean, I ran over her with a fucking car 100 times. I mean.
Wow. So this cat knows that he ran over this woman with a car 100 times. And now he's being told by his father that the body couldn't even be identified because it was so mangled. And his reaction is incredibly, it's as if he's just kind of like, wow, almost like he was watching the end of a epic episode of Game of Thrones or something, instead of it's something that he actually physically did to a human being. Wow, man.
It was that's the part that made it bad right there. It wasn't bad until that happened, and then it got bad. Yeah.
Listen,
wait, is he trying to say that it wasn't bad until he's trying to say that it wasn't bad until he ran over her? That's not what was said in trial.
I know the calls are recorded and all that, but I was sitting here working and I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's really bothering me. But this is what I just don't understand. Like, why to that extreme? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened to make it to that extreme, son?
I don't know.
Well, what are you angry with, dude? What are you angry about? You know what I'm saying? What are you fucking angry about? Especially with women. Like, what are you angry at women for?
I don't know. I'm not sure, man.
I don't know either, dude.
See, and so here's his biological dad really just trying to understand him. He's like, you are so angry, and you are especially toward women. What is your issue? And, I would suspect that if Wade Wilson knew what his issue was, he may not have done the things that he did. A lot of times people are angry and they don't know that they're angry. They don't know it until they snap. Anyway, it's fascinating to, get a glimpse of conversations that family members have with their murdering son or whatever. It's very
interesting. It bothers me.
I need to figure it out. I do.
You do need to figure it out.
I know.
But, I just don't. Did you stab that first girl?
Did I stab?
I'm sorry. You think you might need to figure it out? Okay.
I don't know.
You choked her.
Yeah, just choked her. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So the blood you had all over you was from the second girl.
See, in his mind, well, I just choked her. That wasn't a lot. That wasn't much. I just choked her. The other one, I ran over her, and yeah, that was bad. But just choking somebody, that's not that bad. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
It might have been. It might have been. Yeah. Either that or it was my own. Either that or it was my own blood because I had climbed a couple fences and stuff like that, and I had got blood. I had cut myself. But I don't know if
And
it was. Yeah.
This Tommy guy, is he the guy that from the Keys?
Yeah, he is. What?
Yeah, he was on the news. He was on the news last night, just saying, you know, that you were a monster. And,
oh, he talked about me on this. He talked about me on the news. It was that big.
Yeah, and he compared you to Ted Bundy.
You're kidding me, bro.
You know.
So he sounds pretty excited that he's being talked about in the news. So, did you hear how the tone of his voice just kind of lifted up? He's like, "Oh, really? Talked about me in the news?" And then he hears, "Oh, but he's calling me a monster." Okay.
No, because Ted Bundy's, you know, good-looking kid, you know, and he was charming, and the women liked him, and
that was also Mila's ex. Her ex.
That's what he said, you know, or the news said, or whatever. But listen, Kelly's come out and wrote Channel 4 or something, and did this big story with them about what you had done to her, and you know, if something would have happened, you know, to you then that.
So now it sounds like they're getting into his living victims and them coming out and talking about him.
You wouldn't have been able to do this to these girls, which I guess is true, you know. But, you know, I sent her a message, dude, and I said, listen, this isn't your time. This time right here is for these women who they were still looking for the second one, you know. I said, stop trying to hog the media. You know what I mean?
That's what she's trying to do too. She's trying to get all the time for herself.
She's trying to get the attention, and I said to her, I said, you need to stop because you know they're still looking for this other woman. And
see, he's making the observation that she just wants all the time for herself because it takes away from his time. That's what I'm hearing. He's not worrying about the real victims, or, you know, in their minds, the real victims' stories getting out.
This is not your time for that. So I can't believe she did that. Yeah.
Did Mila say anything or no?
She hasn't said anything. I mean, the news report that, you know, she helped, you know, lead them to you, and and you know that they said something about, you know, your father and all that. So
what do you mean?
I don't know.
They about my father, about you?
Yeah. They said one of the stories said that, you know, when the marshals came to the house, that when you answered the phone, you just said, you know, I'll come out. I just want to talk to my dad or my father or whatever. So, which, I mean, I don't, you know, listen, I don't care. Wait, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay? I love you. This shit is tearing me up, okay? I can't even tell you how much this is tearing me. But I feel like I told you yesterday, I feel like I worried what was coming.
Yeah.
You know?
So they're not going to be. They're definitely not going to be sympathetic to me, especially since it took a medical examiner to fucking identify the second girl.
Like I said, they still haven't. They still haven't announced it. Yeah. They went to her family, you know, and told her family that they think. Yeah. You know, they said that the body has similar characteristics of. She was a bartender at the Moose Lodge. So, what did you stop to give her a ride?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
She got in the fucking car with you?
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and that was it. Yeah. So they said the body had similar characteristics.
And he says, and that was it. That was it. Meaning what? That's all she had to do for you to viciously attack her and run her over? What did that was it mean?
So what?
They said that the body had similar characteristics of, you know, the lady that was missing from the Moose Lodge or walking down the street. I'm assuming maybe the clothes or something matched or something. I don't know.
Clothes. That's what they asked. They asked me about the clothes, what clothes she was wearing and stuff like that, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're not gonna. You think they're not gonna give me like the death penalty or anything, are they?
Wait, listen.
Interesting. They aren't going to give me the death penalty or anything, are they? So he really does care about his life. Let's see what Dad says to that.
I can't answer that. I'm not going to tell you yes or no. I don't know if it's a capital crime. You know, I think
that's a smart dad who doesn't just, go in for, oh, no, son, of course not. They're not going to give you the death penalty. Of course not. He's like, I don't know. I'm not the law. Hey, hippie, I'm not the law. I can't tell you. Well, we do know now that he got the death penalty. The jury, after they've declared him guilty of these crimes, they voted for the death penalty, and now the judge has also given him the death penalty, and I streamed that on my other channel.
It has to be like premeditated capital crime or something, but I'm not sure, son.
I wouldn't mind that, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, listen, all you can do, your first step was you did the right thing. Well, I'm not sure, son.
I wouldn't mind that, to be honest with you.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't mind that, to be honest with you. So is he saying that just to be a tough guy, or does he really mean that? Is he saying that because he actually thinks he's a terrible person and he should just be done away with? Or is he saying it for sympathy? Or just to sound like a tough guy? My understanding, hippie, is that he was adopted as an infant before he was 1. Listen, he was a number of months old when he was adopted.
Okay, well, listen, all you can do, your first step was you did the right thing by being honest.
Okay.
Second step is you have to work on yourself a little bit and figure out what it is that triggers you like that. We know it's drugs.
Yeah.
Poor Dad, he's trying to tell him you need to work on yourself, but he's like, you need to figure that out a little bit. Just a little bit? No, that's minimizing things. A lot bit.
For sure.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
We know it's drugs, number 1, but number 2, why is it always women? Why are you so mad with women?
I don't know, because I don't know.
You got to work that out, son. Is it your biological mom? You feel like she abandoned you, or
No, I don't think it's anything to do with it. I don't think it's anything. I think it's like a power thing or something. I don't know.
I do too.
See, here's the thing I'm gonna say about this. Hey, Kraken, here's the issue with this. So the question is, he's basically saying, I don't detect any anger at women in myself because I felt abandoned. But a lot of times we hold these feelings without knowing why we hold these feelings. So he knows he has a lot of anger. He knows he has a lot of anger toward women, but he hasn't quite identified why he has this anger. He harbors this deep anger toward women. It's documented fact that people who are adopted, more often than not, will go through this process later in life of starting to feel the feelings of not belonging to that family. This is a quite different example, but Steve Jobs, my former boss, he was adopted. And he knew the circumstances around which he was adopted, and he was an incredibly troubled person. And if you read the book about him, the biography that was written by Isaac, I'm forgetting his name at the moment, or something Isaac, sorry, Walter Isaacson. That's the name of the author. If you read that book, you see the themes of abandonment all throughout, how he felt so abandoned by his biological family. And he did go and find them later. This happens with adopted kids all the time. They don't know, they can't place the anger. They don't want to believe that they're angry with their biological parents, but they actually are. And then they don't do the things that they need to do to address that, and instead get into drugs like Wade did. And I misspoke earlier. I just want to acknowledge I misspoke earlier. He actually did admit to these crimes. He confessed to these crimes. So it's not like he was sitting in the courtroom trying to pretend he was not guilty. He did confess, but he still tries to portray this image of I don't know, whatever it is, it's working for him because he's got a fan club who apparently has built up a GoFundMe to the tune of over $75,000 to get him some sort of appeal. I mean, what goes into that thinking? And, and it's interesting that we're seeing throughout this call and throughout his actions that clearly he has an issue with women. He abuses women, but it's mostly women who are, coming to his aid and contributing to his fund. As if getting closer to him and helping out this abusive, violent murderer is a good thing, and it's helpful to society. It is absolutely insane to me. It's definitely something to be studied very deeply. It's a deep, deep issue in our culture.
Too, and that's what I think. I think it's a control thing.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's a control thing. And you know what? You just admitting that is a big step.
Yeah.
Because at least you can own that a little bit. That doesn't change what happened.
You didn't hear from Mila, did you?
I didn't. No, I sent it when I got in the truck.
I think she changed her phone number, man. She changed it.
Maybe. Well, I'm sure she probably would have because she's probably getting all kind of calls and shit,
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But, and the other problem is, she's the victim of one of your charges. So I don't know that legally you should be calling her.
Yeah, probably not. But the worst they can do is give me a fucking misdemeanor charge. I don't really care.
Well,
see, that you hear immediately what goes into the thinking of a criminal before they're about to commit a crime. Oh, it's just a misdemeanor. Who cares? So that's why the death penalty is a deterrent. is one of its uses is as a deterrent, because these criminals will think, all right, if I get caught doing this, what will I get? It'll just be a misdemeanor. I'll just talk my way out of it. I'll just lie. I'll just, you hear that actual processing going on in this call.
I'm just saying, on her end, she's probably not going to answer it because there's probably like a no contact order or something.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so on her end, she's probably not going to answer the damn phone.
Probably not.
So
Probably right, man.
So
and it's sounding to me like dad knows more than he's letting on to his son here. Like maybe he knows that there's a protective order, and he knows that, Wade, his son, should not be calling this victim that's involved in the case. And he's trying to, it's, you can almost hear the biological dad trying to not trigger Wade, but still be honest with him. It's a very, delicate thread to thread, right?
Are you at work right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just took a break to talk to you, but no, I was just listening. I was just saying, I can't fucking sleep, dude. I can't fucking eat. I'm just I'm so fucked up. It's okay. I mean, it's your fault, but it is what it is. I'm just saying, I just have so many questions in my mind. Like, I try to think, could I maybe have done something a little different, maybe to try to, I don't know. I just feel bad for the whole.
It's honestly nice to hear a parent say that, it's a parent who, he's the biological father, so he didn't raise Wade. Hey, Patricia. He's giving him honesty in a way that's not threatening. This is the bio dad on the phone. It's the bio dad. So, but apparently, they were in each other's lives later in life. And it's nice to hear somebody, a parent who sees a child ending up like this saying, what could I have done differently? We should all be asking ourselves that when our child acts out in a certain way, and not just be like, oh, it was somebody else's fault. It was the kids they were hanging out with. Even if it has nothing to do with you whatsoever, it's good to at least think, is there something I could have done different when you're the parent of a child who does the things that this guy did?
Situation. I feel horrible for these innocent girls. I feel bad for, I feel bad that you're 25 years old, dude. There's so much life for you. I don't know.
I can't believe that dude Thomas got on TV and said something.
Yeah, he was on there talking. He looks like a character.
He is a character, man. He is.
When was he with Mila? Before you met him in the Keys?
Yeah, but when I...
And then, dad's trying to have like kind of a deep conversation with him about like, what can we do? He wants to help his son, even though it appears at this point, his son is well beyond help. I mean, he's well beyond it, but his dad wants to help him. He wants to figure things out. And he's like, yeah. Oh man, I can't believe that guy got on TV. Mila's ex. So it sounds like it's his ex-girlfriend's, new boyfriend or somebody that she also dated. And so he has a lot to say about that. See where his attention focuses rather than on the horrible things that he did, and trying to understand how to change that. And that's the train that his father is on. He's not on that train. He's still on the, he's still on the very bottom level of the train.
I know, yeah. When I met him in the Keys, him and Mila had broken up. And when he brought me to Fort Myers, he tried to reconcile with Mila. And he brought me over there to hang out, too. And she liked me and stuff. So me and her just got together and kicked him out of the picture. And he's never liked me ever since then. He talked a lot of shit like he was going to get, going to kill me and stuff. And that's why, every time I saw him, I, showed up and he never did anything. So, whatever.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you something that really looked bad. I was watching a couple stories online, and a lot of the media, what they're doing now is they've gone back and they've pulled your whole record. So they see the shit in Palm Beach. They see all of it. And it looks horrible. I mean, honestly, looking at it on paper, it looks horrible. There's so many fucking charges, domestic violence,
It's not just on paper that it looks horrible. It is legitimately, objectively, completely horrible. Not just on paper.
It looks bad. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean.
And they put that on the news?
Yes.
Yeah. So if they have a trial for me, they can't even do the trial in this city. They're going to have to do the trial somewhere else because I
don't think they would be able to get a fair jury. But but here's my thing, Wade. What are you going to take to trial, son? I mean, what did you tell the detectives last night? What did you tell them?
Everything.
When they talked to you, you told them the truth. Yeah.
You told me to.
Well, because I feel like Wade. I'm not going to encourage you to tell them lies, okay? I mean, I encourage you to tell the truth because it's not just you that's suffering here. There was innocent families, dude, that are suffering.
Yeah, I know.
Your family's suffering. Candy's so upset, she won't even answer the phone. She won't even answer my calls.
You're kidding me.
Because I think she's totally blocked it out now because she is worried. She's just concerned, dude, and she loves you and shit, and she's upset. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want, I don't know what to tell you.
All right.
All I can tell you is,
I did the right thing then, for sure.
you did the right thing. Listen to me, because by not doing the right thing, people can look at you and say, "Oh, look at him. He's a psychopath."
They're still going to say that.
Wasn't on
that, right? They're
still going to say.
Yes, we are going to still say that about you because you did psychopathic things. And if they were drug-induced psychopathic things, you chose to take those drugs. I know they're addictive, but every time you take a drug and then you do illegal things on drugs, you have to face the consequences of that. Those were the choices you made.
Say that. But one thing that you can in your heart know is, you know what? I fucked up. I told the truth.
Yeah.
I told the truth. I did the right thing as hard as it was to do. Yeah. You did the right thing. So at least, that girl, the second girl, she had an 8-year-old daughter too, which I didn't realize until last night. No, dude, she had an 8-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son. Yeah. So imagine, bro, their mom was gone.
So the 15-year-old son gave a victim impact statement in court during sentencing, and it was heart-wrenching. It was absolutely heartbreaking, heart-wrenching. The kid talked about, he was 14 when this happened, so he was just in high school. After that happened, many, many major things happened in his life. One of them was that he was hit by a car and was was hospitalized for some time. And his mom wasn't there, and he wanted to be, his mom is the first person he thinks of when all these things happen in his life, but she's not there because of this asshole. And to him, to Wade Wilson, it's just, well, something he did, and now he's admitted to, and now let's get beyond it. The level of absolute just, neutrality and treating this as like it's kind of a normal everyday thing is just crazy. It's so disarming and disjointing to think about him just having this rather light conversation where his father's trying to instill upon him, this is what you did. These people had families, they had children, and he's like, yeah.
Gone. So at least now they can bury her, they can grieve.
Yeah.
They deserve that, dude. They deserve that.
That's true.
And the first girl, she deserves that.
Yeah.
So, it's a bad situation, dude.
It is a bad situation. It is a really bad situation.
It's a bad situation.
It is.
So I don't.
It sounds to me like when this guy is like, it is a bad situation, Dad. It is bad. He's just trying to he's literally just like, yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Okay, I know. Let's get it over with. He doesn't want to have this conversation. He doesn't want to have this conversation. He wants to have a conversation where they talk through all the drama going on in their lives. That's the conversation he wants. He wants the conversation about the media attention and, and what people are going to think about him and things like that, with literally no sense of even his dad is giving him those are the types of things I would just start bawling over. Like, let's say I accidentally killed a person in my car or something like that. It would fold me in half to think about the people in that person's life who lost their family members, right? This guy actually has admitted to just viciously killing this woman, running her over several times. He's admitted to it, and he's like, yeah, Dad, I know. Yeah, I know. So I have to admit the kiosk jokes are going over my head. Is the kiosk where he's doing all these calls? Is that what you're talking about? Because that is kind of funny that now he doesn't have his does the kiosk also give him the ability to like look at online stuff as well?
No, I don't have much advice when it comes to this because I've never been in that situation before to this scale like you're at.
Yeah.
But all I can say to you is you did the right thing by being honest.
Yeah.
And now you just have to
take it as it comes.
You're just going to have to lay down and wear it, son.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what else to say to you.
Oh, well, that makes sense. The kiosk is where he gets the money from the girls. That makes sense. No kiosk there.
Did you order your canteen? I put some money in there.
No, man, I have to get. They're supposed to be letting me go tomorrow, so I should be able to order it tomorrow, and I'll get it like next. I think they get it on Tuesday, as long as I can order it by like Sunday. And if I don't make it out by that time, you know, they don't take any money out of there, so whatever you put in there will stay there. They won't take anything from it. So whenever I get out of here, I'll be able to order. So.
All right, and I'll try to get down there and see you again soon. I mean, I don't know. Please. I don't know. It didn't take as long to get home as it did to get there. I don't know why, but no.
All right, so, please, Dad, please come see me when you can, man. If you want
I
to.
will.
Right.
I will. But listen, I'm telling you, don't talk to people in there.
You have 1 minute remaining.
All right, Dad.
Not that they're not. Is there TVs in there?
Yeah, fuck yeah, they're gonna see it.
Okay, they've already seen it then.
They've already seen it. But have they released my face? They have, right?
Yes. They
Obviously.
showed you at first appearance court. They've got your picture posted everywhere, dude. It's everywhere. Every fucking way.
Oh, great. Okay.
So it's everywhere. So if there's TVs in the jail, they've all seen it.
They've all seen it. Okay.
So
all right, Dad. Well,
protect yourself.
I will.
Protect yourself and just be honest, dude. That's gonna save you, and that's gonna save your soul, bro.
All right, Dad. For sure.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I love you.
All right.
And I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Dad. All right.
Okay.
He doesn't want to hear it. He's one of these people. I see it here now. And there's a lot of these people online. And there's a lot of these people in our lives. And there's a lot of these people who are in prison because they do this. And that is not wanting, tabling difficult conversations. Not addressing the worst things, not having the strength or the wherewithal to look at our own behaviors and say, maybe I shouldn't think that way or do that again, because it's not just wrong, but it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt me and it's going to hurt other people in the future. So I'm going to change that. So you hear him literally being confronted with these ideas of how he can change and what he can do and how terrible it is. And, all he can do is say, yeah, I know, Dad. Oh, yeah, I know, Dad. And it kind of reminds me of, having that conversation with my teenage kids. I know, Mom. Oh, yeah. And then that thing happens that I keep warning them about. And they come back and they go, Mom, this happened. And I go, we've had that conversation about 50 different times. So now maybe it will resonate with you. So he clearly doesn't, he has a very good avoidance technique in his brain, where whenever he's going to be thinking about the terrible things he did, or someone confronts him with the terrible thing he did, he can just be like, he can pretend that he's listening. He can pretend that he gets it. He can pretend that he knows that he needs to do something to change it. So he himself and others are not hurt in the future, but he's not really going to do it. It's kind of like when you have that conversation with your husband or whatever, and you're like, can you please, do you understand how important this is to me? Yes, dear. I know how important this is to you. And then they turn around and do the same exact thing. They're just appeasing you. They're placating you. He was sitting here placating his father over actual things he did. Yeah, I know it's terrible. I know it's terrible. It's not just terrible. It's the worst thing a person can physically do to another human being, and that's take their life. And you didn't just do that. You did it in a brutal, cruel, and unthinking way, just absolute torturous way. So that's how you earn the death penalty, especially when you do 2 deaths similar to that in one day. So that was interesting to hear the first jail call. I know there are many more jail calls to go through. That's why I called this a part 1. Viewers click on the content they want. That's how you vote for the content that you want on my channel. And we'll just continue to see whether this is something that, I plan to do, part 3, part 4, part 2, 3, 4 with more jail calls. But if you all are not super interested in it, then I will, I'll move on and we'll talk about something else. I do have an announcement about the book that I want to start reading in our Breaking Chains book club, BCBC. And I'm going to start this on Saturday. I'm going to do these book club streams on Saturdays. In the middle of the day, basically. And I've chosen a different book than I originally was thinking. And I'm hoping you'll be as interested in me in this book. And it is Matthew Perry's Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. And the reason I'm super interested in reading this is because Matthew Perry went on a really successful, very well done book tour after publishing this book. And he shared very vulnerably and very truthfully and candidly and honestly about his lifelong struggle with addiction. And literally weeks later, he's found dead in his pool. And we now know that it's because he was given too much ketamine treatment by doctors. And they've been charged. 5 people have been charged with murder. So, and learning the details of that murder absolutely sickened and shocked me, because they clearly took this person who was in a vulnerable position, accepted his desire, took him on over his desire to get treated for mental health and addiction and depression, and they gouged him, and it eventually ended up turning into a murder. They exploited him. They exploited this man when he came out and candidly said, I am an addict. I'm a lifelong addict, and I'm constantly trying to find new ways to treat this issue. And he basically ends up getting murdered. So I want to read this book with all of that in mind. I was also a huge friend of fans, and I will be very honest with you. This guy was my favorite all the time. I loved his dry humor. He's kind of my type, like the type of person I'm attracted to. Very dry wit, very intelligent, but clearly had issues. Always had issues. You could tell sometimes if you were a fan, you could almost tell when he was performing on drugs. Yes, Teacup, he was naturally funny. And I'm starting to kind of well up with tears thinking about this. He was a tremendously talented human being who was very, very sick and troubled. And then he finally feels like he's got a grip on his life. He has so much, he has enough a grip on his life that he feels like he can teach something to more people. And he writes a very selfless book, you know, very self-deprecating. He does this very viral book tour, you know, where he gave many interviews talking about all the things he did and the things, you know, the horrific cycle of abuse, you know, of drug abuse that he went through, and trying to manage that, and the numerous treatments and all of that. This man was doing everything in his power to avoid exactly what happened to him, to avoid suffering a drug overdose. And that's exactly what happened to him, because he was exploited by doctors and drug, you know, basically prescription drug crime rings. So that's going to be our first read in the bookstore. I have purchased the book, and we're going to start reading it on Saturday. And I hope you will join me. Otherwise, yes, we'll read it together. So I will start off the reading, Cinnamon. But if people want to come up and join me in reading, I'll have all the words on the screen so everybody can follow along. And the idea is to read and react to what we're reading So I would love to have you all join me and kind of dig ourselves into this book. Good. I'd love to have you read, Cinnamon Girl. I'd love to have other people read, you know, as long as I do want to have relatively good, hey, Sparkles, I want to have relatively good readers. Like if I'm not the best reader in the world, but I do know I can get through, you know, entire paragraphs and stuff like that with fewer flaws. If you're kind of, you know, you just have to know whether you're a good reader or not. But because I want it to be also consumable for our listening audience, but I want also for everybody to feel like they can join in and comment and have things to say as well. And I just think it'll be good content to have on the internet as somebody reading. And you know, one thing I have forgotten to mention is one of the reasons this is I think so important and really tugs at my heartstring is I also am in recovery, and I know the pain of having to get beyond that addiction and then feeling free of the addiction. And then for something like this to happen, I really want to understand what his life was like before all of this happened, and what was kind of circulating in his mind even as he was being treated the wrong way and being gouged for his ketamine treatments. I really want to understand where he was coming from. And I think his autobiography or his memoir is the best way to do that. So join me on Saturday. What time? I'll probably set it for 11:30 Pacific time, Cinnamon Girl. So, but if I get comments later that say that's terrible time for me, I've been learning that most of my audience is online roughly around this time. Oh, you just purchased it? Good. So, and I did purchase it. So, you know, the idea is also you don't have to purchase it to be part of the book club. I want you guys to be able to read along at the same time as we're reading, but it's also, you know, a good way to also promote his book as well. So he definitely had esteem issues, Patricia, but we're going to learn more about that in his book. Okay, I want to thank you all for joining me for this part 1 of jail calls. Let me know if you're interested in more jail calls from Wade Wilson. There's a lot of other things going on in true crime. I really do prefer not to chime in on a situation while it's hot, but that goes completely against how the algorithm works. So it doesn't necessarily always work from a viewing, from a getting views perspective, but it is what it is. So thank you all for being here. Have a lovely rest of your day. Be nice to everybody else out there. And I also do have more trials I'm planning to stream on my disorder channel. Several coming up that I'm very interested in. So keep an eye on that as well. So thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your day. And remember, as you're listening to content online, think about what are the chains that we need to break from around our brains.